Thanks for logging on to Wayne.com for another edition of Inside the Zone alongside Blake Sebring. I'm Glenn Marini, finally back in the saddle, and hopefully this is like riding a bicycle because the Komets, a rough season, but the past couple of weeks they've played a little bit better, 5-1-3 as we hit the All-Star break, All-Star game this coming Wednesday. Breaking it down before we get into the games, halfway through the season, what have you seen from the Komets so far, Blake?
I think it's been a major disappointment for everybody. I mean, I don't think anybody's happy with what's going on, except maybe the goalies. The goalies have played pretty well. They like to have better records, though. They're getting very little goal support. The Komets are 2.37 goals a game. Like Sunday's game, they played great defensively. They just couldn't score.
And when you take a look at these past 3 games that they played, Friday, Colin Chalk returns. That's obviously something big, coming back over from Italy and taking the captain's jersey as well right off the bat. What does it mean to have Colin Chalk back in a Komets jersey, and what have you seen over the past 3 games since he's been here that he's going to add to this team as we go down to the second half of this season? Well,
the penalty kill immediately got better, for one thing. I mean, Colin does a lot of you don't notice him so much for blocking shots on the penalty kill, although he does that. What you really notice is him denying shots. He does a really good job of getting in the shooting lanes and then getting in the passing lanes to take the puck away. He's really smart and really quick that way.
And he picked up a goal on Saturday as well. Offensively, what does he add to this team? Because I know in years past when he's been out injured, there seemed to be a little bit of disarray on the line that he was on when he was no longer on it. What does he add as far as an overall team player offensively?
There's a direct focus for his line. I mean, and he's going to be it. I mean, he's going to handle the puck most of the time. He's going to direct people where to go. He's going to win the face-offs, first of all, which is really a thing that he's really good at. And he's going to direct things, and people are going to get the puck where they want it, too, which is another factor.
And as far as just his overall leadership, is that the one kind of X factor that maybe this team needs? Because, here's a guy who hasn't played the first half of the season with the Komets. He comes in, immediately he's wearing the captain sweater.
There's several X factors this team needs, I'm afraid. It's just they brought in 9 players now since training camp ended, and they just haven't been able to turn it around scoring. And if you look at all the 1-goal games that they've lost, I mean, look at the Friday night games. They're 1-8-2 at home. I mean, on Friday nights, they're 0-4-1 at home. If they just won half of those, they'd be in a playoff spot right now. They just got to get some scoring somehow.
And obviously. Really in the past 2 weeks, we've seen the injury bug bite the Komets a little bit. They've been relatively healthy throughout the first half of the season, except recently. Brandon Warner now on the 30-day IR. Legault, it looks like he's going to be spending some time on the IR. So what do the Komets do to kind of fill those slots and improve themselves?
Well, I think they're going to end up having to release some guys pretty soon. They've got 24 guys around right now, and all their IR spots are filled. So, you're going to want to bring Kaylee hopes to play Friday. Leo's out another couple weeks. Brandon's probably out another 3 weeks. But as soon as those guys are healthy, you got to get them back in. And, they're still looking for players. They brought in Dustin Molly, who played pretty well this weekend. Dan LaPointe's in practice now. So if he gets activated by Friday, somebody's going to have to go.
And when you take a look at some of those players that are taking, I guess, larger roles with Leo out with that ankle sprain and with Kaylee also out, who are some guys that really need to step up in their absence? Everyone?
Well, think about it this way. Who has stepped up? That's the really troubling thing, I think, right now. Who's been their most consistent players all year? Frankie DeAngelis and Nick Boucher. Kevin Ryder's played pretty well, but he's got no goal support at all.
Right.
Who have been the most consistent players all year? That's the million-dollar question.
Well, and you mentioned Frankie DeAngelis, because we could talk really all day about some of the negative things that have happened all season, but Frankie's been fantastic. Here he is. He's going to be playing the All-Star game this coming Wednesday. And what is it about him that has allowed him to kind of take his game to another level here in his second season with the Komets?
I think he's just so smart. And I think he's so comfortable out there with Brandon Warner. I mean, those two have played for half a season now, and they're really comfortable together. And Frankie's he's more daring. He's not afraid to take a chance. And this is such a skating league too, and he's a pretty good skater as well.
And obviously kind of a smaller guy, but as you mentioned, they started dynamite Brandon and him in the playoffs last year. They were great at playing together, and I guess it has kind of rolled over to this season. One of the guys that's very well known in the Comet rings is Brad McMillan, and I think we'd be remiss if we didn't mention his name this week because of Legault going on IR and McMillan also being waived by Colorado. He would still have 9 games left on his suspension if they picked him up.
And I haven't been able to get an answer from the Komets. I mean, if they're interested or not. Brad's looking at a job in Alaska right now too, not a hockey job, but just a regular professional job that he likes. It's tough right now. I mean, I would bring Brad back in a heartbeat. I wouldn't have got rid of him, but because of all the intangibles he brings. But you got to wonder. I mean, you're just going to have to start getting rid of some guys pretty quick here if you're going to create any room at all.
And one of the guys that's been a staple on the Komets roster for years now, Guida Puis, he's approaching a milestone this coming Saturday. Talk a little bit about what Guy's got on the plate.
Well, that's going to be his 1,000th game as a Komet, including playoff games. He's at 911 regular season games. But what's amazing to me is there's only been 94 players in all of minor league hockey history who have played 1,000 games. And Guy is 5th all time with, I think it's 1,260. It's just an incredible monument to achieve that. And to do it on one team, I've gone through the first 15 guys on the list right now, and there's only 1 or 2 of them that have played 1,000 games with one team. And Guy's going to hit 1,000 with the Komets, and he's got another 260 with Kalamazoo and Bakersfield. And I mean, to hit 1,000 with one team is just incredible.
And what does he mean to the Komets? Not just this year, but in all of the time that he spent here in Fort Wayne, because he's been out there in the community, married a Fort Wayne girl. He's kind of become an adopted son of Fort Wayne when it comes to Komet hockey. What has he meant to this franchise and to the team on the ice as well?
Well, I'm writing about this for tomorrow, about how he really has become this generation's Eddie Long, Len Thornton, Lionel Repka, Robbie Irons, Terry Pembroke. I mean, he really has become the face of the franchise, and he's going to be looked upon exactly like those guys are looked upon now. He's going to have his number retired someday. But what impresses me maybe the most about Guy is just the class he has brought to the team. Every year you knew you didn't have to go out and find a number 1 defenseman because he was there. But the way he handles himself in so many situations, and I don't know if there's ever been a better ambassador for the team during his tenure. There have been people who are just as good, but I don't know that there's anyone who is better at inviting fans and being personable and just being who he is.
Yeah, certainly he's been a joy to cover over the past few years that I've been able to cover him.